Surprise, surprise, everyone. The BBC is biased. Who would have thought that? Who could have predicted that the BBC doesn't like Brexit? That the BBC doesn't like anybody criticizing the metropolitan liberal elitism that they are in favor of? There has been a new ruling after an investigation confirming our theory that the BBC, in fact, did break the impartiality rules, and in fact, they broke the accuracy part of the news. The rule to be impartial is one thing, but the rule to be accurate doesn't exist, unfortunately, but it should really exist right now. But the BBC, who, especially in Scotland, they did this report a year ago, almost a year ago, 11 months ago, in December 2021. They went around and talked about the damages done by Brexit. Everything since Brexit has been damaging, and every damage since Brexit has been Brexit's fault. They forgot about the fact that some of these damages were simply because of our politicians and our governments who are incompetent. They don't know how to run Britain independently. Secondly, what about the achievements? What about anything that's happened, whether in terms of the import and export achievements, whether in terms of the currency that did not completely get destroyed? The currency is not in a good situation, but it's not because of that. It's because of everything else happened since lockdown. What about everything else that since we've made decisions independently, even when it comes to the programs of jabs and everything else with AstraZeneca, blah, blah, blah? They don't care about any of that. Now, this ruling is now confirmed. And they noted that the BBC's editorial guidelines on impartiality say, we may produce content about any subject at any point on the spectrum of debate, as long as there are good editorial reasons for doing so. So, okay, this was about Scottish businesses most affected by Brexit, so fair enough. However, the ruling says, a programme adopting such an approach should maintain impartiality by exploring other aspects of the topic within a reasonable time frame, which had not happened in the case of Reporting Scotland. Okay, thank you so much for confirming what we already knew. The investigation noted that the reporter had conducted research across all sectors of the Scottish economy in preparing the report, which had led him to conclude that improved performance in some areas was attributable to factors other than Brexit. Interesting. It is generally agreed, however, that Brexit has had a different effect, bearing hardest on the kind of small businesses featured in the report. So there was at least a need to reflect areas where its impact had been less negative, whether on this occasion. Well, firstly, even the report, they can't even say focused on areas that Brexit has had a benefit or has had any positive impact. It said, well, we should have focused on areas that Brexit had less of a negative impact. Just say positive. How hard is it to say the word positive? They just can't do it. They really can't bring themselves to believe that independence could be a good thing. Ironically, this report was in Scotland, whose SNP is obsessed with independence, which doesn't actually want independence because they want to be dependent on the European Union. As we go. Okay, so let's come back in half an hour. I need a break after this mess. David Davis, who sometimes as an MP is very pro-freedom, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And sometimes there's some nonsensical stuff. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. This time, he's done a good research. He's brought some exposure to the migrant crisis, especially when it comes to the Albanian criminals. So we're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to talk to you guys about that story. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.